Hello and welcome to my walkthrough of the Pearson Edexcel Mathematics Paper 1 non-calculator paper from November 2022. Let's get straight into it. So question 1, we have to write 0.3 as a fraction. So 0.3 is just another way of saying 3 over 10. Question 2, work out 3 squared. 3 squared is just 3 times 3, which is 9. Question 3, work out 20 divided by 3 plus 2. So we just have to do the 3 plus 2 first, which is 5. So we need to do 20 divided by 5, and that's because the 3 plus 2 is in the brackets, so we need to work out that section first. And our answer is 4. Question 4. Write down a factor of 60 that is between 8 and 14. So factors of 60 would be 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, and 6 times 10. So we need between 8 and 14, so we can use 12 or 10. We're going to use 10. Question 5. Simplify 3 times w times 5 times t. So we can simplify that just by putting all the numbers together and multiplying the 3 and the 5. So we're going to say this is 15 WT. So question 6. Faye is planning a trip to a theme park for 1 adult and 2 children. These are the costs for the trip. Faye has £200 to spend. She pays all the costs. How much money does she have left? So total cost of petrol, £23. Tickets to the theme park, £33 per adult, plus £24.50 per child, and there are 2 children. And then meals, £15 per adult, plus £10 per child, and there are 2 children. So we're going to have 23 plus 33 plus £24.50 doubled, which is 49, plus 15 plus 20. This comes to, those two added up are 56. Add on this is 105. Add on this is 120. Add on another 20 is 140. She has 200, so she has 200 minus 140, £60 left. £60. Question 7. Here is a list of 8 letters. Write down the mode. So the mode is just the most common occurring number. So we've got 2 B's, 1 C, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's. So the most common occurring one is the letter A. Part B. One of the 8 letters is going to be picked at random. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that this letter will be a B. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total letters, and 2 of them are B. So 2 over 8, or 1 over 4 being a B. Half is in the middle here, so a quarter will be halfway between 0 and a half. Part BII. Find the probability that this letter will be a C. So as we said, there are 8 letters, only one of them is a C, so we're going to have 1 out of 8. Question 8. Solve m minus 3 equals 4. What we're going to do here is add 3 to both sides to get rid of the 3's, and we'll just have m equals 7. Part B, solve 3n plus n equals 24. What we're going to do here is take n out of the front of the numbers on the left-hand side, and we will have 3 plus 1 equals 24, or n times 4 is 24. Divide both sides by 4, and we get n equals 6. And we'll move on to question 9. Find the value of y. So we know that angles around a point add up to 360 degrees in total. And we are told that y is everything apart from 70 degrees. So we're going to do 360 minus 70 is 290 degrees. Part B, give a reason for your answer. Well, what we just said above. Angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. We know y is therefore 360 less the 70 degrees of the angle. And we'll move on. Question 10. A shop sells jars of coffee. Each jar of coffee costs £4. Michael has £23. Work out the greatest number of jars of coffee Michael can buy. So each one costs £4, so we're going to have 1 jar, 2 jars, 3 jars, 4 jars, 5 jars, comes to 20, but he's got £23, so he can buy 5 jars, and he'll have £3 left over, because he can't get to his 6th jar, because that would be £24. In a sale on Wednesday, jars of coffee are sold at half price. Michael thinks that he can now buy exactly twice the number of jars of coffee for his £23. Is Michael correct? So that would mean that the jars would now cost £2. So no, he is not correct. No. As the jars now cost £2, he can buy 11, which would come to £22. He is suggesting he can buy just 10, as 10 is double 5. Question 11. Here are 2 triangles on a grid. Triangle B is an enlargement of triangle A. Write down the scale factor of the enlargement. So the scale factor can be found by just looking at how many squares that this now covers. So if I just look at this top line here, this is 3 squares wide, and on B this is 6 squares wide. So the scale factor of the enlargement is going to be just 2. On the grid, mark with a cross the center of enlargement. We can do this by drawing a line between the points that relate to each other. And if we extend this line for each of the points, this should, oops, lost a little bit of momentum there. This should all cross at a certain point, just about here. Even with my not so straight line there at the bottom. Question B. Here are 2 parallelograms on a coordinate grid. Parallelogram D is a reflection of parallelogram C. On the grid, draw the mirror line. So we can see that this point here, 1, 4, has gone to this point here, 4, 1. This point here, 5, 3, has gone to this point here, 3, 5. Basically, the x and the y have flipped, which tells me that the mirror line is the line right down the middle of y equals x. Again, I've not drawn that very well. These points should all be on the line. Write down the equation of this mirror line. It's just y equals x, where everything on there, the y value matches the x value. Question 12. Elena spent 120 minutes at a sports centre. She played badminton for 50 minutes. She used the swimming pool for 1/6 of the 120 minutes. She used the gym for 20% of the 120 minutes. She then spent the rest of the 120 minutes in the cafe. Work out the total time in minutes that Elena spent in the cafe. Right. So she starts with 120 total, minus 50 badminton, minus 1/6 of 120 for pool, minus 20% of 120 for the gym, equals cafe. So that will be 70 minus 1/6 of 120 would just be 20. 20% of 120 is the same as saying 120 divided by 5, which is 24, equals cafe, which would be 50 minus 24 equals cafe, 26 minutes in the cafe. Elena got to the sports centre at 1:30 p.m. She had asked her friend to meet her in the cafe at 3 p.m. Did Elena get to the cafe by 3 p.m.? Give a reason for your answer. No. She spent 26 mins in cafe, so she spent 94 not in cafe after 1:30. 94 mins after 1:30 would be 3:04, so she would be 4 minutes late. On we go. Question 13. The composite bar chart shows information about the number of people living in a village. Write down the number of men living in the village in the year 2000. So the year 2000, men are represented by the darker squares. Each square here is 10 people. So we basically just need to count up from the bottom. So that was going to be 60 men living in the village. Part B. Find the number of children living in the village in the year 2010. So the year 2010, children are represented by the grey square. And we're going to start up here. So we're going to have that's 160 up to 210. So that is 50. And for part C, for all the people living in the village in the year 2020, find the ratio of the number of children to the total number of men and women. So 2020, number of children, it's going to go from 200 up to 280, so it's going to be 80. And it's the total number of men and women, so it's from 0 up to 200, so the ratio is 80 to 200, and we're not asked to simplify, so I'm going to leave it as 80 to 200. Question 14. Jenny drives from London to Swindon at an average speed of 54 miles per hour. She drives for 1.5 hours. Work out the distance from London to Swindon. So if she is travelling at 54 miles per hour and she's driven for 1.5 hours, we just have to do 1.5 multiplied by 54. So that is just going to be 54 plus 0.5 times 54, which is 54 plus 27, which is 81 miles. B. Alexei is using a map. The map has a scale of 1 to 25,000. On the map, a road has a length of 6 centimeters. Work out the length in kilometers of the real road. So, 6 centimeters on the map is going to be 6 times 25,000 centimeters in the real life, which is going to be 150,000 centimeters. And the question wants the answer to be in kilometers. So to get from centimeters to meters, we're going to have to divide by 100. So we're going to take off 2 zeros here. And 1,500 meters is just 1.5 kilometers. Question 15. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ. So the way I would do this is I would look at just the x values first. So we're going from 2 on the x-axis to -3. So the midpoint between those two is going to be just here at -0.5. And then you've got the y element is going to be 4 and 2. 4 and -2, sorry. And the midpoint of those is going to be 1. So your midpoint is going to be -0.5, 1. Alternatively, you can draw a line and work it out that way. I just think it's a little bit easier to just look at the x and the y values individually. Question 16. Here is a quadrilateral ABCD. All the measurements are in centimeters. The perimeter of ABCD is 52 centimeters. Work out the length of DC. So we're going to have to add up all 4 sides here, and they're all going to come to 52. So x plus 1 plus x minus 1 plus 2x plus 2x minus 5 equals 52. So we're going to say that is 6x, as you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 plus minus 1 is 0, minus 5 equals 52. So 6x equals 57. So x equals 57 over 6, which is the same as 19 over 2. But the question is asking for the length of DC, which is 2x. So therefore, 2x is going to be 19, is the length of DC. 19 centimeters. There are only blue counters, green counters, red counters, and yellow counters in a bag. The table shows the number of blue counters in the bag. There is a total of 100 counters in the bag. Ashin takes at random a counter from the bag. Find the probability that it is not blue. Well, we know 30 out of 100 are blue, so 70 out of 100 are not blue. We do not need to simplify, as the question doesn't ask us to. The ratio of the number of blue counters to the number of green counters is 2 to 3. Work out the number of green counters in the bag. So if we're saying blue, 2, 3, green, and we know blue is 30, that is 2 multiplied by 15, so we need to multiply 3 by 15 to get green, and that will be 45. Bradley says the number of red counters in the bag is the same as the number of yellow counters in the bag. Can Bradley be correct? Give a reason for your answer. So we know there are 100 total, 30 blue, 45 green, leaving 25 counters. 25 is odd, so there cannot be the same number of red and yellow counters. So Bradley is wrong. Question 18. There are 240 cans of drink on a shelf. Each can contains cola or lemonade or orange in that ratio. Half of the cans of lemonade and 1/12 of the cans of orange are removed from the shelf. Work out the number of cans of Coca-Cola as a percentage of the total number of cans of drink remaining on the shelf. Right. It's quite a complicated sounding question. So there are 240 cans, and we'll say CLO in the ratio 5:3:2 at the start. So added up, these come to 10. So 5 out of 10 of the cans are cola, 3 out of 10 lemonade, 2 out of 10 orange, which means, therefore, at the start, we're going to say 120 cans of cola. I'll just write at start. 3 out of 10 is going to be 72 cans of lemonade, and 2 out of 10 is going to be 48 cans orange. Now we can look at the second part. Half of the cans of lemonade are removed from the shelf. So lemonade 72 goes down to 36, and 1/12 of the cans of orange are removed. So 48 goes down to 44, but 1/12 will be 4. Work out the number of cans of cola as a percentage of the total cans remaining. So now the total cans remaining will be 120 cola plus 36 lemonade plus 44 orange. So let's move down a bit. So 120 out of 120 plus 36 plus 44, which is 120 out of 200. And the question wants it in terms of a percentage, which is going to be 60 out of 100, which is 60%. It's a 5-mark question there. Write 500 as a product of powers of its prime factors. So let's do a factors tree. 500 be made up of 5 and 100. 100 can be made up of 5 and 20. 20 can be made up of 5 and 4. 4 can be made up of 2 and 2. So we have 2 squared times 5 cubed, as we have 2 2s and 3 5s. Question 20. Work out 1 3/5 plus 2 1/4. Give your answer as a mixed number. So I'm going to make these top-heavy fractions, and then I'm going to make a common denominator. So we have 1 3/5, which is the same as saying 5/5 plus 3/5, so 8/5. And 2 1/4 is going to be 8/4 plus 1/4, which is 9/4. Now, the easiest way I find it to do a common denominator is to just multiply the two denominators together and decide on that. So we're going to put these both in 20ths, as 4 times 5 is 20. So to do that over here, we're going to have 8/5 times 4/4 is going to be 32/20. And on this side, we're going to say 9 over 4 times 5 over 5 is 45 over 20. So 1 3/5 plus 2 1/4 equals 32 over 20 plus 45 over 20, which equals 77 over 20. But the question wants the answer as a mixed number, which is going to be 3 and 17 over 20. Part B. Show that 2 and 2/3 divided by 6 equals 4 over 9. So what we'll do here is we'll say 2 and 2/3 is the same as 6 over 3 plus 2 over 3, which is 8 over 3. So 2 and 2/3 divided by 6 equals 8 over 3 divided by 6, which is 8 over 18. And then if we say we will divide the top and the bottom by 2, we're going to have 4 over 9 as required. Question 21. Simplify 2 to the minus 5 times 2 to the 8 all squared. So if we do the bit in the bracket first, so 2 to the minus 5 times 2 to the 8, you can do by just adding the two powers together. So that's just going to be 8 minus 5, which is 2 cubed. And then 2 cubed squared is where we times the powers together. And we're going to get 2 to the 6. Question 22. Work out 0.004 times 0.32. Now, what I might do here to make this a little bit easier so that we don't mess up where the decimal point is I might say 0.004 times 1000 is 4. So at the end, what I'm going to do is I'll do the calculation and then I will divide it by 1000. So if we work out 4 times 0.32, that's going to be 1.28. So 0.004 times 0.32 equals 1.28 divided by 1000, which is simply 0.128 divided by 100, or 0.0128 divided by 10, or 0.00128, which is going to be our answer. Question 23. A car factory is going to make 4 different car models, A, B, C, and D. 80 people are asked which of the 4 models they will be most likely to buy. The table shows the results. The factory is going to make 40,000 cars next year. Work out how many Model B cars the factory should make. So, table is 80 people. Factory is going to make 40,000. 40,000 divided by 80 is the same as 4,000 divided by 8, which is 500. So need to extrapolate table by a factor of 500. So all we're doing is this table here represents only 80 people, but they want to scale it up to be 40,000. So we need to multiply all the numbers in the table by 500 to get to what it would be for 40,000 cars. So for B, that's going to be 15 times 500, which is going to be 7,500. Question 24. Rizwan writes down three numbers, A, B, and C. That's their ratio. Find the ratio of A to B to C. So A to B is 1 to 3. And we know that B to C is 6 to 5. So all we need to do is double this up, as 1 to 3 is equivalent to 2 to 6. So since we already know how 6 relates to C, we can just write this out. So A to B to C is just 2 to 6 to 5. Express A as a fraction of the total of the three numbers A, B, and C. So all we need to do here is 2 plus 6 plus 5, which is 13, which is the total of the three numbers of A, B, and C. And we know that 2 is A, so it's just simply 2 out of 13. Part B. Emma writes down three numbers, M, N, and P. N is 2M and P is 5N. Find the ratio of M to P. So we have got N equals 2M, which would mean that they have the ratio of N to M as the ratio of 2 to 1. And then P equals 5N. So P to N has the ratio of 5 to 1, or 10 to 2, in the same way we did part A. So if P to N to M, based on these numbers here, we can pull the 10 from there and the 2 to the 1 to there. Therefore, P to M, if we just take the N out of the equation, is 10 to 1. And the question is asking M to P, which would just be 1 to 10. Question 25. A storage tank exerts a force of 10,000 newtons on the ground. We're given the formula for pressure in the box. The base of the tank in contact with the ground is a 4 by 2 meter rectangle. Work out on the pressure on the ground due to the tank. So we need pressure equals force over area. We've got the force, so we just need the area. And we're told that we have a 4 by 2 meter rectangle. So the area is simply going to be 4 times 2, which is 8 meters squared. Therefore, the pressure is going to be 10,000 divided by 8, which is 5,000 divided by 4, which is 2,500 divided by 2, which is 1,250 newtons per meter squared. And I believe this last one is the final question. It is. So question 26. Solve 5x divided by 2 plus 3 is greater than 18. So to do this, we're going to take 3 from both sides to leave us 5x over 2 is greater than 15. Then we're going to times both sides by 2 to get rid of the 5x on the bottom. So 5x is greater than 30. And then we're going to divide by 5. So that x is on its own. And we're going to have x is greater than 6. And lastly, part B, factorize x squared plus 10x plus 9. So since we've just got a 1 in front of this x, we don't need to worry about factorizing it out with any numbers in front of the x's. in terms of format, so we need to get it into a format of x plus a multiplied by x plus b. So if I multiply this out, it's just x squared plus x a plus b equals ab. So for us, a plus b equals 10 and ab equals 9. If ab equals 9, then a equals plus minus 3 and b equals plus minus 3, or a equals plus minus 9, b equals plus minus 1. However, a plus b equals 10, therefore a must equal 9 and b must equal 1, as the 3's don't work and the minus 9 and the minus 1 don't work. So our factorizing is going to be x plus 9 multiplied by x plus 1. And that concludes our paper. Hopefully that was helpful. If you've got any questions, as always, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next one.